Small Talk User Manual. I'm on a bus to Detroit and there is a woman sitting next to me who out of the blue asks what brings me there. Well, I say that here you have wonderful railroad station. And she said, "Do you want to buy it?" I smiled and said, "Not this time." Well, that's how it is in United States. Complete strangers talk to you and they are usually very nice. For me, a man from Poland, it was surprising. After returning, I shared with my friend that it was very nice, but superficial. And he said, "Dude, aren't most of the contacts in life superficial? So I guess it's better to be nice." Nothing more, nothing less. It changed my perception of casual conversation, because that is what small talk is about. So, how to do it properly? My name is Przemysław Kłótny and this is Good Speech Channel, public speaking and personal development. It is worth realizing what small talk is for. I distinguish two basic functions. It is such a casual conversation that fills the time, allows you to get to know the other person a little, and allows you to enjoy this contact at the level that is currently available for both parties. Why should it be unpleasant when it can be nice? There may always be something more to it, but it doesn't have to be. The second function is an introducing to big talk, a more serious conversation, and it can be both business and private contact. In business, we sniff each other first, talking about neutral topics, and in private, it is also the case that our cultural code assumes that before we say something serious, difficult for someone, we say lighter things, because it's simply more pleasant. Not to say more cultured. It's a bit like dating. After all, no one proposes on the first date. That would scare the other side, wouldn't it? A little, anyway. So, how do you approach the conversation in both cases? First, let's look at the conversation technique. We have the following range. Active listening, among others, receptive listening, small comments, an open attitude, nodding, paraphrasing, putting someone else's phrases in your own words. Verbalization. I can see that this is important to you. I have the impression that it is sad to you. Ways of asking questions, open questions. We start with how, when, why, which, how, etc. And closed questions, open no questions, starting with do you, for example. Positive rhetoric. It's a huge problem. It's a big challenge. Maybe sometimes this is the case. When we know the technique, we know how to react on an ongoing basis, depending on the development of the situation. There are also things to avoid, which are too intrusive questions, downplaying the dialogue partner's statements, patronizing approach, irony, giving advice without being asked for it, killer phrases. Nothing will come of it. Too short distance. Okay, now that we know a bit about the technique and what to avoid, let's move on to how to start and how to end, also taking into account the realities of online world. How to start small talk. Ideally in traditional realities, after making eye contact, if it was possible, simply introduce yourself by name and surname and ask something about the meeting you are attending. In online world, for example, if we have meeting on Zoom and a dozen or so people participate in it, our conversation is public, and I think it's often easier because it's easier to join in and leave it. Introducing yourself is not customarily celebrated because you can see who is in the virtual room thanks to the signature under the window. Often, however, these types of conversations are conducted in the chat. What to start with if nothing else comes to mind? You can always ask something general, which is not necessarily original. What a great energy of the presenters! What a nice weather! What a bad weather! Everything started, ends sometime. So, How do you end small talk and move on to big talk? If you want to finish a conversation, give a reason. Thanks for that conversation. I need to say hello to someone else, to make a call, to make a coffee. It should be true. Or, if you are ending a conversation, introduce the person you were talking to someone else and say goodbye. If you want to go to big talk, do it gracefully. It's great to talk, it's a pity to move on to the things we wanted to talk about. Speaking of security, our company is etc. etc. And that's what it might look like. I encourage flexible and friendly use of small talk. The art of conversation is an art, but also a craft that is worth practicing as often as possible. For me, online meetings also serve this purpose, the professional ones to a slightly lesser extent, which is why I look for them in my private time. There are plenty of free meetings where you can socialize and exercise, like for example Toastmasters meetings. I encourage you to go to the meetings and practice small talk. If this material was useful to you, like it, comment and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.